Next level fit, 5 simple steps. So if you're driving or working out or doing some chores or whatever, just consider listening and taking it in. I'm going to share with you 5 simple steps so that you can get next level fit. But if you do have access to pen or paper, consider getting that pen or paper out, been taking some notes. I'm going to share with you some key things that, doing a volume check, doing some key things that you may want to write down and internalize inside. So by writing them down, it's going to help you memorize them. First things first, to get next level fit, is to have a clear, specific goal. It's not even part of the 5 simple steps. I feel it's very important for us all to have a clear, specific fitness goal, right? So what we're going to do a little exercise right now. So if you could wave a realistic magic wand, and you can have your body, your health, your energy, any kind of way you wanted it to be by this time next year, what would that be like for you? Think about it. Get clear and specific. The clearer and the more specific you can be, the better. Right? So, and I feel a very good, simple, clear, specific way to do it is to have a clear, specific body weight and a clear, specific body fat percent. Right? So, what is that for you? What if you could have that any kind of way you wanted it to be? You could have your body, your health, your energy. What would your body weight and what would your body fat percent be? You have a way to gauge that. Think about it. All right. Now, how do you measure body fat percent? There's a few different ways to do it. The best way I feel to do it is if you have access to a good doctor or a good medical community that you can measure at my doctor's office. I stand on this piece of equipment. It scans my body and I get a 3-page report on body fat percent, hydration, all kind of things. Now, here's a cheap hack. If you're interested, go on Google, do an images search, and look up men's and women's body fat percentages. And then what you'll do is you'll find on a scale from low body fat to high body fat, you'll see the scale. And so on the lower end, you'll see what that looks like. And on the higher end, you see what that looks like. And then what you can do is you can see where you're at currently. Take a look at yourself. Take a look at the picture and try to match where you're at on the body fat percent scale. And then look on the leaner side and get an idea of what you would like to achieve. If you could have it any kind of way you wanted, what would your body fat percent be? For me, it's to be at or below 10% body fat. And it's not just that. I want to have enough muscle. So my goal is that I'm happy and grateful now that I am at least 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat. That is a very clear, very specific goal. So it's very clear, very specific. I'm currently, though, about 183 pounds and I'm 10% body fat. So I have at least 7 pounds of pure muscle to gain on this journey. But I have the goal. I know what it is. It's not to be 190. It's to be at least 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat. That's very clear. That's very specific. So what is yours? What is your very clear, very specific goal? Now, once you have your body fat weight and goal down, consider setting it up with an affirmation / prayer. And here it is. I am happy and grateful now that I am, and then state your body weight and your body fat percent. I use myself as an example. I am happy and grateful now that I am at least 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat. Now, if you're someone that's not building up, but you're going down. And say you're a female. Females' body fat percents run a little bit different than men's. Say you wanted to be 20% body fat as a female, which is the nice healthy body fat percent, and say you're 30%. But say you wanted to be 140 pounds and at or below 20% body fat. How you would say that is, I am happy and grateful now that I am at least 140 pounds and at or below 20% body fat. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know. That's very important to have a very clear, very specific goal. If you don't do this first very critical step, you may be wandering around aimlessly on your fitness journey, and you'll be a statistic of another one of many failures, of many of thousands and millions of failures that's of health journeys. I want you to be different. I want you to be in a healthy range, in a fit range. Globally, even in the United States, at least 75% of everybody in the whole United States, even in the world, are overweight, and half of that are obese. So 38.75% of the whole globe is obese. So we can do better. Dane's in the house. Welcome. I have lost 3 pounds in 3 weeks. Big shout out to Dane. Right on. Welcome, brother. You're right on. Nice. Congratulations. And wow, you did it. Wow. So grateful. That's so good. So what is your goal, Dane? Just talking about goals. If you want to share, you don't have to, but if you're open to sharing, share with us. What is your goal? We're just talking about goals right now. So so my goal was to be I know I said it earlier. And do you have a clear, specific goal? All right. That is awesome. That is amazing. Right. Congratulations. So we just set up the goal premise. Okay. So that's the big picture, having a clear, specific goal. Now the 5 simple steps are exercise, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, and mindset. Right? Those are the 5 simple steps. So if anybody's taking notes, 5 simple steps: have a good exercise program, have a good nutrition program, doing good on your recovery, your sleep program, supplementing intelligently, working on that mindset. Now, I'm going to see what Dane says. Want to lose 15 more pounds and lose it slowly. I'm looking to clean up my diet. I've been eating mostly plant-based foods and steak. Well, good job, buddy. That's and doing it slowly. You got the right idea. Oh, that's great, man. Congratulations. If I can ever do anything for you, let me know. That's awesome. I know you can do it. Congratulations. So when it comes to the 5 simple steps: training, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, mindset, let's look at training. I feel it's basically important to have a combination of cardiovascular and strength when building out an exercise program. So say, for example, imagine for a moment, say if we have a twin engine airplane and we're flying along, and say one engine is cardiovascular and one engine is strength. And we're flying along. Now imagine if we only have one engine on the airplane. How efficient would it be? Well, it wouldn't be very efficient, right? So we want to have both engines going on the airplane. It's the same with our exercise program. I feel it's important to have a blend of cardiovascular exercise and strength training exercise, right? To have that powerful combination. Now, when building a strength training program, there are basically, I feel, 5 basic fundamentals to building a good overall training program: proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles, and consistency. Now we're going to break them down one by one. Proud of my mug. I have a client got me a personal trainer mug. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, so with training, basically 5 fundamentals of a good training program: proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles, and consistency. So number one is number one is proper form. Why would proper form be so important? Well, I know it's kind of obvious. But it's basically for 2 big reasons. One is so that we don't get hurt. If we get hurt while we're on our fitness journey, it's a really disappointing setback. It's awful. So it's no good. So number one, so we don't get hurt. Number 2, so that we're exercising the muscle effectively. So proper form, learning proper form. How do we learn proper form on our journey? There's lots of ways to do it. Back in the 80s and 90s when I was coming up, I would read magazines, and I would used to love to read the description of each exercise. I still have my art encyclopedia of bodybuilding journals, and I would love read the incline chest press, and there'd be a written description of the exercise, and just read it and just internalize it. And nowadays with social media, you can go on Instagram or YouTube and look up any exercise you can ever think of and study it. So what I do these days is, as I'm building out a program, I recommend to have your program written out and then study the exercises within the program that you're working on. So your current program, study those exercises. So say you're on a 4-week exercise program, then study those exercises really, really well and master those before you go on to the next thing. Just something to consider. So it's proper form. Then number 2 is variety. Why do we want to mix it up every now and then? Why change it every now and then? Why change things occasionally? Well, 2 big reasons. One, mentally, we might get bored. Nobody likes to do the same thing over and over and over again, right? But then also, too, have you ever heard of a plateau? Our bodies get bored. Our bodies adapt to the same level of stress, right? So as you're on, and I see this happen a lot to particularly people that's been working out 6 months, 12 months, year and a half, 2 years, because a lot of us, we tend to do it. We do the same things over and over again, the same exercises, the same rep patterns, the same speed of the movement, right? So that's what we can all change. We can change all these things. Here's how we can add variety into your routine. You can change the exercises you can have your workout that's spread out over the week. You can combine the body parts differently. You can change the exercises within the program, switch them out, do different exercises for the same or similar muscle. You can change the rep patterns from low reps, say 5 to 10, to high reps, say 20 to 30. Right? You can change the speed of the movement, whether it's 5 seconds on the way down, 0x, or 3 seconds on the way down, 1 second pause, 1, 2. So there's all kind of ways to change it up, right? So consider keeping a good, fresh variety in your routine. And what I found is that the longer you exercise, I've been doing it for over 40 years, the longer you exercise, the faster your body adapts. So currently, I do change mine around every 4 weeks, and I love it. It keeps it really fresh. You could probably, if you're beginner, you could probably do every 6 weeks, or if you're intermediate, but I like every 4 weeks. It keeps it really fresh. But then a friend of mine, Jay, he said, you can do what's called a meso cycle, where you have maybe, like, say for example, like what I'm doing is like to have a 12-week program, but split up into thirds. And you can focus on, like, maybe glutes and hamstrings, focus on the first week, and then maybe calves and abs focus hard on the middle, It's just ways to, and it's called mesocycle. There's all kind of ways to add variety into the routine, but it really helps, keeps a constant level of progression. So I encourage you to keep variety to your routine. So we talked about proper form, variety, intensity. What comes to mind when you think about the power of the training with intensity? What comes to mind? Overloading the muscle, right? Pushing it, right? So let's say, for example, say we're going for 12 repetitions on a chest press. 10, 11, barely get 12. We got number 12. What's the most beneficial part of that set? The first few reps or the last few reps? Will be the last few, right? And why? Well, that's where the overload occurs. That's where the challenge occurs. The breakdown, the muscle breakdown occurs in that intensity. So that's the thing with intensity. I was just listening to a good podcast by a great coach, Mike Menser, who's passed away now. I did a coaching session with him back in the 90s, and he's really big on intensity. He used to train former champion Dorian Yates, former Olympian. And a lot of discussion was intensity. He's really known for his intensity. And so the idea, though, is that when we work out, when you get towards the last few reps of the set, when you're overloading that muscle, that intensity, that's the trigger that really creates the growth. So that's why you don't really need long workout sessions, but just triggering that growth. Get in the gym, train with intensity. I do the best I can to keep all my sessions under 1 hour. Although I used to train 2 hours a day. I love it, but I was overtraining. But an hour of weights 5 days a week plus cardio in the morning. That's blending it together, right? So talked about proper form, variety, intensity. Let's look at proper training principles. There's all sorts of training principles. So let's look at a few. Compound sets, drop sets, supersets, cheating principle, going up and down the rack, crazy eights, the 1 to 10 method. I mean, there's all kind of things. And I encourage you to study them and learn them all and incorporate them throughout your exercise lifetime. Proper training. Look them up. Go to Google search, ChatGPT search, training principles, workout training principles, right? And FYI, there's going to be a free app coming soon. It's going to be on any phone, Android or Apple. And it's going to be under Workouts for All. It's not ready yet. It's going to be Workouts, the number 4, All, A-L-L. And that's probably the logo you're going to see on it. And there's going to be all kind of workouts in there for free, Workouts for All. I'm going to create a lot of workouts that you can download and play with and explore and enjoy yourself. It's going to be for beginners, intermediates, and advanced. All right. I'll keep you posted. So we talked about proper form, variety, intensity, proper training. So proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles. We just talked about. Last but not least is consistency. What comes to mind when you think about the power of consistency in an exercise program, and why is that important? Why is that beneficial? Well, it's kind of obvious, right? I know it makes kind of sense if you think about it, but let's do a little game here. Imagine you have and say if you have a twin of you, and say you both have the same fitness goal. Now, say we're going to meet back here in 1 year, see who's done the best. You start off. You say you're going to work out 4 days a week, cardio and strength, and you do it consistently. You eat. Nobody's perfect, but 80, 90% perfect. You sleep. Again, nobody's perfect, but you're 80, 90% in the zone, getting your sleep. Now, the other twin of you starts off that way, but then misses a workout here and there, skips a quality meal here and there, has a little cheat meal here and there, doesn't always get the full night's sleep here and there. Who is going to have the best results at the end of the year. The consistent version of yourself, right? The power of consistency. As you're on your fitness journey, you're going to be going against resistance. It's not easy to get your body to grow muscle and burn fat and be, getting that zone. It's simple, but not easy. But the thing is, the power of consistency, when you're exercising consistently, you're eating consistently, you're getting your rest consistently, you build momentum through that resistance. And then you build it up and you build it up, and it becomes very powerful feeling, and it feels good to you, and you're going to embrace it and love it. So I encourage you to stick it out, and just with the power of consistency. That's how you do it. You set a goal, and then you follow through. You take action using the power of consistency with training, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, and mindset. Now, we just talked about all things training. Now, let's take a look at nutrition. So, imagine for a moment that we want to build a 2-story house from scratch. And imagine that we only have half the materials necessary to build the house. How far are we going to get? Part of the way, right? So the foods that you and I eat on a daily basis are the supplies that are necessary to build our house. And I'm working on it just as hard today as I did 30, 40 years ago. I'm always trying to get to that next level, and I encourage you to do the same. Now, what do I recommend at this point in my career after 40 years of study? What am I telling people, encouraging people to eat, and encouraging myself the same? Is a whole food, plant-based diet composed of generally 50% fruits and vegetables, 25% whole grains, and 25% plant-based proteins like legumes, lentils, nuts, and seeds. And then if you want to dig deeper into it, why I feel that way, and you can learn more about some of what led me to that belief, there's a great documentary called The Game Changers, THE Game Changers. It's on Netflix and YouTube. It's a well-done documentary. The guy that did it was a former MMA fighter who did this documentary while he was on an injury outing, and did a deep dive into nutrition and found all this great research and published it into a documentary, and it's very, very popular documentary. So I encourage you to consider it. Now, let's look at recovery. So over the past few years, I've had the honor of training 3 different neurologists, personal training them, one a neuroradiologist, and they have all said that their studies had led them that 7.5 to 9 hours sleep a night was the range that was good for all humans to sleep. Then also I've done a lot of other research on top of that, and have found that to resonate with that. But then also too went into plus to get 2 hours of REM sleep and 2 hours of deep sleep each night. So that's my objective: 7.5 to 9 hours sleep a night, 2 hours of deep, 2 hours of REM. Okay? And it's worth it. A lot of the latest things I've been hearing is that is probably the number one thing we can all do for all of our health, is to get a good night's sleep every night. So I encourage you to go for that. Make it an objective. What can you do to have a good night's sleep night? Well, one thing I do is I at least don't eat 2 hours before sleep time. Now I'm even pushing it back to 3 and 4. I find that that's even better for me, and a lot of other people are feeling the same way. So if you can work up to 3 to 4 hours not eating before bed, what happens is our body, when we eat food, which I'm going to do right after this, it'll be my last meal of the day. When we eat, our bodies warm up, the metabolism, heat Our bodies work to break down that food so we get warm. I don't know if you feel it, but I often feel like kind of a heat after I eat. But now, after 2, 3, 4 hours after we eat, our bodies start to cool down, and that's what we want. Like tonight, when I get ready for my Sunday night sleep, I do extra good on my meal. I'm going to eat after this, and that'll be my last meal, and go into the evening really cool, and then cool the house down. And then 1 to 2 hours before sleep time, you eliminate the blue light as much as possible. And then at the final nighttime, either use a mask or cut the lights out real dark. And then set consistent sleep and wake up times. That's another thing. So that's sleep. Let's take a look at supplementation. I feel there are basically 2 basic categories of supplementation: nutritional supplementation and enhancement performance supplementation. Nutritional supplementation is like a meal replacement shake, and I love those. I currently drinking about 2 a day. So I'm trying to build. I'm trying to get to grow 7 more pounds of muscle. I'm trying to get back. That was the heaviest I've ever been. But at 56, I want to be my best ever, and I feel like I can achieve that. I feel like it's possible that I can even be better than I've ever been before. That's my objective. So meal replacement shakes. We can supplement protein and nutrition through a smoothie. That's one way to do it. Another thing is enhancement performance supplements. One basic example is creatine. It's a proven supplement. It's been around at least 30 years that I can remember, and it works, and it's not that expensive. But I would categorize that as an enhancement performance supplement. We do want the basics, the fundamentals: exercise, nutrition, recovery. Then we supplement. Then also, too, any prescription medications we take, whether it's weight loss drugs or hormone, TRT, people over 40, I consider that into the supplement category. I still feel we must exercise. We must eat healthy. We must get our rest. And then when we take these medications and supplements, we're going to get even a better difference, right? And then last but not least is the mindset. So when it comes to our fitness, I feel mindset is so huge. What comes to mind a lot of times is 2 of my biggest bodybuilding mentors. My first one was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he would always say, I could see myself up on the stage winning months before it ever happened. He'd visualize himself receiving the trophy and going through all that, but in his mind. So he would prep his mind. He already saw it in his mind, right? And then another champion that I worked with, didn't work with Arnold, but I worked with Skip LaCour. He was a 7-time national bodybuilding champion, drug-free, and a lot of mindset. So much mindset. Visualizing, putting the work in, being organized. But that's the mindset. And the mindset is you must achieve this, because what's going to happen is you're either going to wake up one day later in life and you're going to either have paid you're either going to have paid the price of the discipline of what's going to happen is discipline weighs ounces over time. The workouts, the nutrition, the sleep, the supplements, the mindset, the discipline over time will weigh ounces compared to the tons of regret that is going to weigh if you avoid these kind of things and have clogged up arteries, have high blood pressure, heart disease, strokes, heart attacks, sexual dysfunction, all kind of awful things, not feeling good, just low energy all the time. That's going to be regret. So I encourage you to pay the price of ounces, exercising, eating healthy, getting your rest, supplementing intelligently, working on your mindset, These disciplines weigh ounces, and over time, feel so good you're going to love it, versus the downside of the regret. I don't want you to have that. So consider coming back here every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. My goal is to be here at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bring your questions. I do the live, and then the AI software will chop it up into some of the top clips. I'll post it into the reels and shorts. You can catch some of the highlights. But if you have any questions, want to interact, I'm right here live. You can ask me questions, and I appreciate you. And remember that health is wealth. Without our health, I mean, what difference does it make what material possessions we have if you don't have your health? So I encourage you to do all you can to protect your health by following the 5 simple steps of exercise, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, and mindset. And be blessed, and I'll be back.